This training video provides guidance for preparing contract time estimates for Kentucky Transportation Cabinet projects with a construction estimate of less than $1 million. This video is one of 3 training videos for developing these estimates. Please review the overview video prior to this video. There is additionally a training video for projects with construction cost estimates of greater than $1 million. For ease of reference, we will phrase these projects with construction estimates of less than $1 million as small projects. The process for these small projects, unfortunately, can be more complex than the system of formulas used for larger projects. This was the result of these types of projects having very little consistency in contract time. Many versions of analysis were conducted on these projects, but no simplified system could be developed. There could be some relief in answering the following questions. Do you need a detailed estimate, or will a low-level estimate suffice? Consider the project. Is this something that will take longer than one construction season? Is there anything controlling the window of operation? That is, does it need to be started and completed while school is out of session? The answers to these questions could negate the need for this process altogether. Consider some examples. If you are dealing with a single season project and there are no other scheduling constraints, the ideal situation would be to let the project in the spring with a late fall completion date. This allows the contractor to complete the work at their discretion. This can lead to lower costs, as some contractors will even bid work with drastically reduced profit if they can use it as fill work or to keep crews active between projects. Another example would be if the project had to be completed while school was out of session. In this scenario, assuming the project is less than 75 days, there is no need for a schedule because the constraints define when the project is to be started and completed. Whether you need to use the full small project process or not, there are some considerations when preparing a contract time estimate. The scheduling needs of the project must take into account many variables, several listed here, but this is not an all-inclusive list. First, public constraints and inconvenience. Is work going to impact daily commutes, and if so, to what degree? Are there special events which will be drastically impacted by work? Can work be scheduled to minimize those impacts? Is there access that needs maintained or maintained by a certain date for school traffic or other reasons? The answers to these questions may impact the proposed letting for a project or may incur constricting the schedule or use of milestones. There also needs to be a clear understanding of the goal of the project. Is it intended to be in place and open for a particular reason? The answers to the previously considered questions can also affect cost. If there can be flexibility given to the schedule, it is likely project bids will reflect that flexibility. On the other hand, if by necessity the schedule is not flexible, it is likely increased construction costs will result. Milestones are a schedule tool that can be used to have different aspects of the project completed by times varying from the total project completion date. These may be added to the contract time estimates produced from the tools provided here, but these tools are not sophisticated enough to automatically make adjustments from adding these milestones. This will need to be done manually. Another consideration is seasons and weather. Adverse weather in the months from December through March can drastically affect the ability to do work. These items need to be considered. The risk associated with these delays can vary depending on the type of scheduling contract conditions used. Working days as produced from the small schedule tools does not account for weather. This contract approach charges contract days only when weather conditions allow work on controlling operations. This allows the contractor to shed some risk associated with weather, but is problematic for construction staff to monitor and document. To use calendar days, a conversion is required to manipulate the working days to calendar days by estimating adverse weather days. Completion date contracts use calendar days and the anticipated letting date to determine a completion date. Both calendar day and completion date contracts place weather risk on the contractor. For further information related to project scheduling contract requirements, refer to the current Kentucky Standard Specifications for road and bridge construction. Having considered these variables, if you determine you need to use the full small project contract time estimating process, there are some items you will need to gather or consider for your project. You will need to collect or research production rate ranges for the work activities involved in your project. These can be located in a number of resources through online references, RS Means cost data reference books, or simply asking experienced personnel. You will also want to consider only the controlling activities work. For instance, on a small paving project, guardrail installation may not be a controlling activity because it has a high production rate and can be completed in complement with other more controlling activities. Also, as you're putting together a contract time estimate, you need to keep items in mind that cause schedule constraints. Examples include local events, required access, etc. Once you complete an estimate of time, this is in the form of working days. This will need to be converted to the approach you select, calendar days, working days, or completion date requirements per the previous discussion. When making these conversions, you must consider weather and seasonal limitations. Once you have a contract time estimate, always validate it with experienced construction personnel. Once you have the necessary information, you can begin using the worksheet supplied in the appendix of the guidance document found in conjunction with these videos. The examples of the worksheets are seen here. To illustrate these worksheets, let's consider an example. This is a small paving project with some structural repairs. The controlling activities have been determined as roadway excavation, installation of drainage pipes, substructure concrete work, asphalt base and asphalt surfacing, and pavement markings. Other activities not included might be guardrail, sign installation, etc. For this project, we have located the production rates seen here. Again, these rates may come from a variety of resources, but are highly dependent on the contractor and the equipment used, as well as work conditions and project type. Therefore, considering a broad range of production rates is appropriate and estimates should be used with care. Once production rates are identified, these can be organized into the production rate worksheet as seen here. Next, worksheet 1 can be completed using the quantities of the controlling activities and the production rates and ranges to determine the ranges of time or days required for each activity. Rounding up to the next whole day is appropriate for time estimates of this detail. The results can be seen here. The results from worksheet 1 are restated here in a cleaner format. At this point, the construction logic or sequence of events must be applied to the controlling activities. This logic may be evident, or you may need to enlist the opinion of personnel experienced in construction methods. For example, it is obvious that excavation would be done before base paving, which would be done before surfacing and prior to applying the striping. Completing worksheet 2 will provide all the necessary information for preparing a contract time estimate for the project. In this example, we have the project is estimated to take between 9 and 17 working days. Again, this does not account for weather, weekends, holidays, etc. The data from worksheet 2 can also be prepared in visual format as seen here, the 3 bar charts. This method of review, especially if weekends, holidays, and other times are included in the schedule, allows for reviewing the contract time estimate with constraints such as local events and other times of work restriction. Once you have completed the contract time estimate, there are some final considerations. Again, you will want to decide which type of contract time requirements will be used. You can use the working days or determine the completion date or estimated calendar days from these estimated working days. Also reconsider the project needs. Does the estimate make sense given any weather concerns, especially in terms of the anticipated letting date, public inconvenience, or other requirements? Always validate the contract time estimate and proposed contract time method with experienced construction personnel. And if there are ever any changes, such as changes in the anticipated letting date, re-evaluate the schedule. Should you have any questions, contact the Central Office, Division of Highway Design, or the Kentucky Transportation Center for assistance. Thank you for reviewing this training video.